accountable. Even if you're putting in your own money, you're taking it from your relatives, friends, or your own house, your family will question you, where did the money go? So you have to show some returns. There, you do not have funds unlimited. So you have to show in some way or the other that it is a worthwhile business and you're putting that money in the right place. Otherwise, the other implications are there on the family resources, which are depleting. Also, if you are auditing, you are responsible. You have to get it audited. You have to show your finances. If you have customers, then you have to give the right product. So I think it makes sense to say that yes, ownership is always within a boundary.
Ownership is within a boundary when we're talking about ownership of an organization, and then we're not talking about a single person at all. Then we are talking about what we said, different people, different tasks, alignment, which implies, there is a chain of command and there is a distributed accountability. I agree with that. I was responding to the example which you gave that yes, the mother and child. How far do you risk letting a person go before you reel them back in? So I was saying in that sense, those people and those children, literally one child in your example is what we are saying, who are the people working in the organization. So in that sense, and then telling those people, I have all these controls, but then, please act like an owner. That is what I was pointing out. And that's why I think ownership is too heavy a word. It is again responsibility. What I do, how I do it, what are my outcomes, what do I get incentivized out of it?
Yeah, but again, then it's slightly myopic, right? I mean, responsibility, if we are saying what are my responsibilities are, then there's somebody who's telling me what my responsibilities are. Exactly. Which means it becomes more like a subservient relationship, right?
Yeah, spot on.
Is it not in organization?
It's definitely not. Try working with Gen Zs. They will tell you they are subservient
think-
to no one.
I think
They don't want it. But why is there a conflict?
no. So conflict,
People who are
friction.
interacting with them still feel it is a devolvement.
Yeah. So I think the
It is
world.
not ownership.
I think the world is changing. I think we are going to have various, conflicting, pressure points which keep coming in. But fundamentally, I think what's changing, in my opinion, why this conversation on ownership is picking up is because, I think the days of direct command control are over,
Totally.
right? The hard hierarchical, organization designs don't exist anymore. I think everybody recognizes an organization to meet its horizon 1, horizon 2, horizon 3, whatever the objectives or strategic plans are. It is a sum total of teams, right? And a team needs a few characteristics. I think some of them you did highlight about the fact that you need, democratization of data, you need democratization of technology, you need to be a skill magnet. People should feel comfortable working with a team leader, and the leadership or the ownership comes from that, right? And it becomes a lot to do with companies in terms of what they can put together, right? And coming back to your point, right? I think at least in the firm which I work, which is an IT services firm, there's a lot of focus on three things. Okay, we focus a lot on, we ask each person, irrespective of the hierarchy. Okay, we ask that person, okay, what is your business outcome in the last 3 years? And the definition of outcome would depend on what you're managing. Now, it could be for your immediate P&L, it could be for a strategic intent, but you have a business outcome to define. Second is, what new skills did you add, right? And that's increasingly important. And third thing is about examples of growth behavior, right? How did you manage pressure points? How did you lead in a situation of crisis? I think those are dimensions which we are now looking at in a very, very significant way, and giving that space. I call it space to succeed. I don't use the word space to fail, but space to succeed, where you experimented, tried hard and taken the company together. So those are the dimensions in which at least we are moving through.
And I think what, like, to pick your point, I think as the organizations, as the command and control culture is like, most of the organization don't want to do it, but then you also have to ensure that, okay, you are productive. So I mean, if you give flexibility to the people and people are working from home, you don't want to monitor them that no, you have to sit from 9 to 6. You're giving them flexibility, but them also making them, okay, you need to think as an owner, if I was running as my own enterprise, would I be wasting time in terms of scrolling TikTok, or would I be putting some productive hours in terms of delivering outcomes? So I think that's where these conversations are very important in today's organization.
In fact, freedom and empowerment, you're right. I think those are two key words, and we execute and probably implement this day in, day out. And I work in an industry where it's 100% people. Raw materials people, finished goods is people. Exactly, consulting. So for us, I think creating transparency in communication is very important. For example, last week we had our town hall, and my CEO spoke clearly about our financials. This is the first time anybody would have spoken in such a town hall. I asked him, I was not expecting that he would speak about financials, but he says, I think it's very important for people to know what we are doing.
Yes.
It's everyone's company. We are talking about skin in the game. Now they should know about profits. They should know about what we are doing. We are talking about unlocking value together, building clients' trust. So I'm creating an environment where it's more trust, and that's where I think it is the time when communication makes a lot of impact. If you communicate with your people right time, you're keeping under the carpet, doesn't work.
Now we do. Sorry, just to extend that, right? I think a great point. I mean, we do so many ask me anything sessions, right? I mean, we just have an exec, and floor is open. You ask anything.
One of the important things as part of ownership, as we were listening, is, though whatever way we understood, is that sense of it being my own. Now, if you have an open town hall and where you shared all the financials, is the profit also theirs? Will they be able to get a share of the profit in the proportion which an individual owner would have got it? So, and an employee would like to see that as well.
So there are many models on compensation that are there, right? There are organizations, for example, that have broad-based equity plans. A previous organization I used to work with used to ensure that every employee got $2,500 worth of equity every year, right? There's a financial ramification of it, right? So while we explore all of these, we also have to be unapologetic about the fact that organizations exist for commercial reasons. They don't exist for charity, right? We exist for commercial reasons. And let's be fair, if the organization thrives, everybody associated with it thrives. So one part of it is, one potential model is you have broad-based equity. Another possible model that you have is that, for example, some organizations have the ability for employees to buy equity at discounted rates. That's a way for you to be part of the success and for your wealth creation to happen. Because you're buying at a discounted rate, you're anyway at a plus always. At the end of the day, the point, and I really like the point that you made about open communication, because I remember someone told me at a town hall that, and this was a few years ago, cash-rich company doing fantastic share buybacks, but at the same time, we are putting a curb on travel policies, right? How do the two sit together? Now, this is somebody who's 6 months out of university who's asking the CFO of the company that question. That shows ownership. This is my company and I really want to understand. So I think ownership is also very dynamic. And the way we think ownership pans out, it was very different from the way my father thought of it. He's from the Indian Army, to the way I think of it, to the way our younger generations are thinking of it. And I think that's the fun of it. It's an evolving
space,
concept.
And if I may circle back to your original point about a mother and a child, I think, and allow me, I'll slightly disagree with him as well. And let's say a child had a fall. Anyone in and around, a decent human being will responsibly behave and want to, for example, pick this child up. Is a responsible person, he does that. the ownership probably still lies with the mother, right? The mother is not going to say, "Kisi aur ne isko utha liya, to fine hai. Let me keep on sitting in my chair and keep on watching what happens next." The second part of it is also, I think, the difference is that at any given stage, irrespective of what companies do, I think ownership is a responsibility gone utopian. Any good, contributor in a company, when they start extending themselves to areas which you generally don't expect them to, I think that is your first feel about people being a little bit more bought into the system, having a sense of ownership around it. And I can give you example from our work. I mean, we have had a scenario in which a product is supposed to behave a certain way. Product exactly behaves that way. And then one day a client said, there is this what we call an edge case. Something is going amiss. And before we could kind of make a hullabaloo around it, we had somebody else who came in and said, you know what, I had thought about this, that there's a potentially, if something like this happens, I have created a backup, right? He didn't need to. He didn't actually, in a way, even need to think through that. It was just not his mandate. But the very fact that that guy, of his own volition, thought about it was beyond the standard responsibilities that he had. With the set of responsibilities that he had executed by that time, we would have been more than happy to compensate him the way we have done, probably given him the bonuses the same way. This is one thing that kind of differentiated that guy from the standard responsibility pack. And that's where I think that's probably a little bit.
Well, in organizations, we have people of different temperaments, different mindsets. All of them can never be owners. So that is another thing which we have to, yeah. And it's also one of the themes which has been recurring as far as management studies and articles out there about work that they are writing is about meaningful work, meaningful organizations. So I think, and not everyone is looking for meaning. Some are only looking for the financial benefit, some are looking for greater level of involvement, and others. So perhaps they would be looking for more connect and more ownership with the organization, more involvement, and the sense of satisfaction of contributing, and that is where I think the organizational structure can help and create those that width for the person to get involved and things like that. And there will always be some who, as we know, are free riders who enjoy life in their own ways, and they are satisfied with whatever little they do and get the benefit out of it. So I look forward to more interactions with you all in this way.